Hello, everyone, and welcome in to the Gillcast on the Davis Mattek YouTube channel. You also might be listening to this on the Rotogrinders Fantasy Football Podcast feed. I'm Davis Mattek, joined by Nate Nohling and Sammy Reid. We've got a great show for you today. Really kind of all the elements that you would want on the show. We had a GPP lineup that did incredibly well from one of the members, but not well enough to not tilt, which I think is the key part. And we're going to be able to argue about that lineup as well, which I think is great. Sammy, again, just going to the ninth level with his cash game team, something that we all enjoy. And really, this is actually the iteration of the show that people tend to hate, the one where my cash team wins and you guys both lose. People tend to not like this. The thing that people like the most, actually, Sammy's lineup at the top, Nate and I with a very similar lineup that does not cash. We have not gotten that this year.
We have not gotten that this year. This has been, I think, my worst cash year, or at least like the start of it has not been ideal, boys. Not great.
Well, there might be a lesson in that, Sammy. There might be something. There's definitely, I think, some things to be learned.
I have a suggestion box open for everybody. Drop your suggestions here. We need. I can't wait. Back to the drawing board.
I can't wait till we get to Sammy's abomination of a team. I literally have no idea what happened.
So yeah, I guess I suppose we can just go ahead and get into it. I was the only team that cashed today. I gotta say, it was a bit of an interesting week. How many quarterbacks do you think you guys could have played? I think I considered at different times 6 different guys. I considered Lamar. I considered Hurts. I considered Dak, I considered Cousins, I considered Fields, and I considered Rattler. I had, at one point or another, I considered all of those guys. Did either of you seriously consider playing Rattler?
I did.
I did not. I considered one quarterback, the one that scored 5 points.
The one that scored 5 points, yeah. Good
guy. Only play I could do.
I definitely did look at some Rattler teams. I was also on Hurts a little like yesterday. But yeah, I mean, I think by the end there was 4 in play, and that was Rattler, Lamar, Dak, or Kirk. I think those were the only 4 really playable ones.
I think Kirk was a not a good play.
No, but he was like in the conversation.
He was in the conversation because raw optimals, if you just ran the raw optimal, which in fact I will just go ahead and do real quick. If you just ran the raw optimal, you were getting 4 Falcons. This right here was the raw optimal that if you just did with no settings, this was the team that you got on the solver. You got Lamar, Pollard, Bucky, London, Mooney, McLeod, Ferguson, and Bijan. To which I said, I don't think anyone played. I don't think anyone. What's so funny is that I actually don't know if anyone played this team, despite it being the optimal. I think basically everyone looked at it and was like, I can't possibly play all those Falcons, which is pretty funny.
You need to bring the Nah wave back for this one, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it. I looked at it and I said, no fucking way. The one I really didn't want to play was McLeod. I like, there was just no world where I was playing McLeod. I thought Tucker was better, which we will get to. I thought Tolbert was better. I thought Leggett was better. I thought Ladd was better. I thought Jalen Polk was probably better than McLeod too. But I don't know. When Mooney and McConkey were right there, I don't know. I didn't really get there. So these were the guys I thought were locked. I thought Pollard was a lock. I thought Bucky was a lock. I thought one of Chuba or Bijan was a lock. I thought London was a lock. I thought Deontay was a lock. And I thought the Buccaneers defense was a lock. So
Deontay was not a lock. Deontay was not a lock because of the questionable tag. I don't think we've ever had this much of a lock wide receiver with a legitimate questionable tag that locked early slate, or that locked the late slate.
I'm going to be honest. I did not consider the fact that he was questionable for one moment.
You know, when Schefter tweets the night before Deontay Johnson is expected to play, he's going to play.
Yeah.
But even a 5%, you have to bake in some percentage. Like,
Wasn't there?
Everything's a range of outcomes.
There was a swap though. I remember looking at it.
But how could you say he was a lock if there's a even 5% chance of him being a zero? Like,
well, because you also could have swapped at quarterback because I played a late quarterback. You could have swapped the tight end because I played a late tight end. You had outs, and I thought it was like I thought it was like sub 2% that he wasn't going to play. But someone in chat actually just said, yeah, I texted you guys this at 10:30 when they said that Flacco was starting, and I was like, why don't I just play Josh Downs, who's just like a lock to get 20? And to be honest, this is what happened. Fucking my friends at establishtheRun.net.com had Downs for like 12 points. I don't know. I was like, all right, well, they know something I don't know. You know, it's the defense, it's outside, it's low. I don't know. Cardi had him for 14.5, which I thought was much more accurate. I thought Cardi's projection on Downs was much better. Really, I'm looking at my lineup right now, which for the audio listeners, this was my lineup. Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Bucky Irving, Drake London, Deontay Johnson, Ladd McConkey, Jake Ferguson, Bijan Robinson in the Buccaneers defense. Downs and Hubbard. Isn't Downs and Hubbard just better? Does that fit?
I think
it doesn't fit. I would have had to have played the Patriots defense. It would have been Downs, Hubbard, Patriots, or not playing Jake Ferguson. Which, by the way, what did I text Nate? What did I text Nate at 9:30 this morning?
Well, as soon as I realized
fucking back talk.
As soon as I realized you were playing Ferguson, I probably should have gotten off. Like, once the fish start playing the tight ends, that's when you want to fade them. Where you want to play the high price tight ends is when all the
Nate
fish
gave me some good fucking lip this morning. He said, I said, you just stone punt tight end and cash. And Nate said, well, you do. I try and win money by playing cash and outscoring my opponents. Unfucking real from this guy. There's so little payoff for these guys because tight ends are just, even the good tight ends are not a part of their offenses. Like Laporta to score a touchdown today, Ben Johnson had to call a triple reverse to get Sam Laporta a touchdown. Kyle Pitts had one 52-yard catch and then just vanished from the atmosphere. Bowers got to like 16, I think. I think he had 7 for 80 or something like that. And Kate Otten I thought was a dog shit play. I would have played Juwan Johnson anyway.
I wanted to play Jatavian Sanders. And
I thought Jatavian Sanders would have been fine.
Yeah, but then Ian Thomas came back, and it was like we weren't even sure if Jatavian was going to get like the lion's share at that point. So
the point is that no one at this position is punishing you right now. And the reason why I didn't like Otten was McMillan was back, and there was a clear correlation between the targets per route run for Otten when McMillan was in versus when McMillan was out.
Yeah, not a clear causation.
No. I mean, Kate Otten sucks though. Let's just be real.
Obviously,
Kate Otten, not a target earner.
Correct.
I still think Jake Ferguson was the play.
Well, I mean that gets into a whole other conversation about the two guys
which we
in our
need
lineup.
to have, buddy. Which we need to have because
I played Dak, Nate played Lamar, Sammy, you played Dak.
Yeah.
I mean, if you tell me the Cowboys are down 20-3, I'm like, dude, Dak is going for 40. What happened?
Like that game against Baltimore a couple weeks ago when they were down like 28-0 or whatever, and Dak just like comes roaring back, trash touchdown after trash touchdown, and just like ends with a gaggle ton of points. The Dallas Cowboys are soft ass cowards. That's really what it comes down to. This team is devoid of talent. They have no talent.
They have no playmakers,
and
their offensive line is not playing well, and the defense is playing well. So it's just like, honestly, kind of what it is it feels like kind of like a Cleveland-esque situation, except they have a quarterback who can play, but they don't have anyone else who can play. It's like Dak and CD and a bunch of guys. So it feels like maybe the effort is not there.
I mean, I don't think it's an effort thing. I just think the team structure is that it's like you just run really thin for them to have what we expect from the Dallas Cowboys offense. So like it's either a CD explosion game or you're screwed.
Or
And
Tolbert has to get a long one, or they have to get like lucky on defense or something because they can't stop the run, which we saw. Like they just got $1 billion. I guess the interesting thing to discuss about my lineup looking at ownership is I guess people felt more like Nate than I thought because Deontay Johnson was only 27% owned. I guess because he ended up being an awkward salary fit and people preferred Mooney.
Deontay,
right?
like projection wise, if there was no risk, if he was locking early and we knew at 11 o'clock for sure he was going to play, I bet his ownership.
Nate, I'm going to be honest. I think you were literally the only person considering this. I think you are giving your opponents too much. This is like playing 1-2 no limit hold'em and like thinking that your opponent is worried about your blockers. I really don't think anyone was considering Deontay's questionable status.
Dude, Deontay projected to be one of the top like 3 wide receiver plays, and in cash ended up at like 25%, and then in tournaments ended up at single digits. There was definitely something.
Nate, this is why. It was because Flowers pulled some ownership, McLaurin pulled some ownership, and Mooney and McLeod pulled a ton.
I think more people baked in this questionable tag than you realize.
I'm going to be chat. Please respond. Tell me if one of you even realized he was questionable. Please, honestly, I think it was more the awkward.
Yeah, there was no question that he was going to play. I don't know what we're talking about.
Wait,
here.
has Schefter ever tweeted on a Saturday night and been wrong about a guy playing ever?
Maybe once or twice.
I don't remember one time ever.
Well, I mean, they I mean, this week, Anthony Richardson. They were like, "Oh yeah, Anthony Richardson is."
That was Jordan Schultz. That was Jordan Schultz.
Okay. All right. Well, block him then.
Either way, Deontay was a great play in cash, and his ownership shocked me.
Yeah, it can shock you, but again, I really do think this is you overrating your opponents to a little bit of a degree.
Well, I must be because Jalen Tolbert was as owned as Deontay was in cash.
Yeah, which is like an all-time playing bad.
Like, but I mean, that's like the field. Like that's what
I know, but I'm telling you, like if the field is still like people say all the time, like, oh, cash is solved, you can't win, it's Dupe City. That to me is evidence that people are still really bad. If what was Tolbert owned in cash?
22%.
That is a historically
oh Christ on
bad
his throne
play.
with you really?
That is historically terrible. I mean, that is like
Nate, what was Xavier Hutchinson owned in cash?
I think it was 0.0. I don't think anybody played him.
Well, I wouldn't say nobody.
Sammy, you gotta wait for this.
And you know what? Pollard was not as owned as didn't you guys think Pollard was going to be the most owned guy in cash?
Yeah.
Well, and I thought Bucky would be the
Bucky for sure.
Owned.
Yeah.
But I thought Pollard was the number 2 for sure. I thought it was, and I thought most people were going to go to Chuba over Bijan just because of recency bias.
No, Nate, same. I thought that was going to be an all-time IKB spot.
So like as I was like entering cash this morning, I did like shove a little more because I'm like, dude, I'm going to get leverage. I'm going to get leverage on everybody who plays Chuba over Bijan because I thought Bijan was like a much better play. And then Chuba came in like a third of his ownership. And I was like, dang.
Well, we should talk about the Bijan thing before we get to Sammy's lineup or Nate's lineup. I mean, there's one of two ways you could look at it. You could look at it as Bijan Robinson is the Kyle Pitts of Adrian Peterson's, or you could look at it as he had a hamstring injury last week and it was a short week. They had 72 hours to get together from the game, and now they had 10 days off. He was removed from the final injury report. He did not have an injury designation in this game, which is what I thought. It's like, Algiers going to play. He's going to be annoying, but
Well, I think the thesis of the Bijan play, the two things that came together for Bijan that were really great is his price at 6,600 was, I don't know the historics, but probably the lowest we've seen him. And then
there was a week No, there was a week last year where I played him. It was after the concussion week. Remember the week where he like only got one snap?
Yeah.
I played him at like 5,800 or 6,000 or something, and you guys didn't. And he had like 9 receptions.
Sharp. Well, that's a great story. But the point is, he had a great price, and also Carolina's got maybe the worst defense in the league. It's pretty close.
So bad.
So great price, great matchup. I thought he was a really good play. I think the things going against Bijan is, Bijan never gets 20 carries. So it's like he's like a 16 carry 4 target guy. And he doesn't own the goal line. And so, is it like a good play? Yeah. But like, does Bijan ever just fucking smash? No, he actually doesn't. Today he had like his best game, and he scored 2 touchdowns. How many career 2 touchdown games does Bijan Robinson have?
I'm sure this was the first one.
It feels like the first one. It might be the second, but not a lot for the kid.
Yeah, I mean, I think you actually are raising a good point, which is that he's a really, really good $6,600 play and a pretty bad $7,500 play is like the right way to think about it. I mean, isn't that kind of how you thought about it, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a great spot for Bijan. I mean, he's still getting all the expected workload. So like I wasn't concerned about Bijan the way that I heard everybody like all week talk about Bijan. And so I don't know. And then Chuba's coming off just unreal efficiency. So I just thought that the leverage there was going to be really helpful in cash games. So I was really disappointed with not getting it. So when you think you have like an edge and then you push in and then you realize like there wasn't an edge there to push in on, it sucks.
Well, I will say the thing I did that is weird, I guess, relative to the field is Lad. And Lad was basically just like, well, I know he's not going to give me 0. His target stuff is actually stronger than I thought. He has 27% market share of the Chargers' targets.
Yeah, and on the first drive, there was like a huge shift for McConkey's EV because Quentin Johnson got hurt, and then Patrick Surtain went out. And it's like, oh, snap.
Well, but then he got hurt too. He got, dude,
right.
He only missed like 2 plays.
No, but he went to the tent again and then came back.
Yeah, he only missed like 2 plays.
Got a lot of grit.
McConkey does have like an actual like floor to his workload that I did feel pretty good about at 4,900. I mean, he's only had 1 game under double-digit expected DraftKings points. It was like 8. So he's got a legitimate floor of like he's going to get 20 to 30% of the target share of that team. I will say they threw more than I expected.
Same.
But
I thought the same thing.
But it was like I did feel good about McConkey in cash.
I mean, I played him for what he did, which is like he's just not going to kill me. He's 4 for 40, sure, it's fine.
When you look at like his workload versus Tolbert's workload and just the
he's the number 1 target, and Tolbert is the 3.
Yeah, when you look at the standard deviation of their workload, it's just like even though Tolbert could totally get there from an efficiency standpoint, like at 4.9, I thought he was a great play.
Yeah. Okay, Nate, the floor is yours for this. For this work of art.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't feel bad about the Ferguson thing. I think the thing I feel bad about is not properly accounting for Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, the change in Trey Tucker's volume. So like
AOC, not a gunslinger.
Yeah, and I just like Tucker's workload with Minshew has actually been like solid. Like
no, he's a good player.
And he's like a good player, but I just didn't account for like, oh, with this quarterback change, there's going to be variance with like the target share of this team for this week. And yeah, when you have a guy who's a 4K guy like that, like his floor just goes away from him. So like when Kristen Wilkerson and Alec Bachman,
DJ Turner. Yeah,
DJ
Alec
Turner.
Bachman. Alec Bachman.
Bryant.
I was close to playing Turner, so
Incredible.
I don't want any. I don't want any slander of the kid here, please.
I mean, it was just, yeah. So Abdullah, Turner, Wilkerson, Bryant, Bachman. I mean, Tucker just, yeah. So I should have and it wasn't shocking when you watch the game. You're like, oh, duh, it's a new quarterback. Obviously, he's going to have his guys. He's going to go to his reads. Like, why would I have assumed the target share was going to be consistent when it's not like Trey Tucker's not a Chris Olave that you can still project for the same target share even with a new quarterback. So
yeah, Chris Olave. Yeah.
Well,
famously stable, very good fantasy asset, Chris Olave.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone.
Yeah,
everyone
I still wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and think, oh God, Nathan Davis made me take Olave over Kyron Williams in every draft we did together this year.
You were chirping shit about Debo, and he stuffed an 80-yard touchdown down your throat. So settle down.
Oh, I'm glad he finally scored a touchdown. That's awesome. It's great. Very good.
Nate, I
also really like the Lamar move, especially when I realized how many people were going to play Rattler. I thought Lamar had a legitimate ceiling of 30 to 35 here, and Rattler, I thought, had a decent floor for his price, but I thought Rattler's ceiling was going to be limited. And so I'm like, if Lamar gets 35 and
Nate, I got to be honest, dude. Not playing the Buccaneers defense. The fuck are you doing, man?
I can't see with the logo. How many did the Eagles score?
They did fine. The Eagles are in a great spot, obviously. I'm not saying the Eagles are a bad play, but the Buccaneers are a layup. They were projected for more raw points than the Eagles.
Okay, Davis, sometimes you got to know ball a little bit. And when you watch Deshaun Watson as your cash quarterback, I will do anything to get exposure in the opposite direction the following week. So I feel great about the Eagles D. I don't care what happened. That was a good play. I mean, Deshaun Watson is.
Oh, he is the worst quarterback in the NFL.
It's unbelievable. Correct. And so when you take this Eagles offense, when you take this Eagles defense versus that, 6 points is bottom 5 percentile outcome for them.
So let me explain.
They should have had 10 sacks.
Well, they should have had more. Yes. I'm not criticizing the Eagles play. The Eagles play was fine. Actually good. Yes, they could have gotten 900. The thing is Rattler is the exact type of quarterback you want a defense against because he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. How many throws did he make in this game that you were like, oh my God, how do you dare you have the audacity to try that? They got, I mean, how many? Well, they got 5 sacks, they got 2 interceptions, and they got a fumble forced.
This was low key. If this was an island game, we'd still be talking about it because this game was fun as shit.
Well, we are gonna talk. We're gonna talk much more.
What I should have done is gone Dak, Deontay, Bucks versus Lamar, McConkey, Eagles. But sometimes Levitan talks about this a lot. Sometimes you do have to just make plays that because as much as I'm a projection guy, there are certain range of outcomes that when you look at it, it's this is remarkably close. And what happens on a football field, I don't know. I can't beat it. I thought the Eagles D was the play.
But the issue is that you didn't play Mooney or Deontay. Were you really sweating that hard about the Q tag? I guess you were.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was 2 things. The reason so originally I had, what D did I have? Who was going against Colts?
The Titans.
Titans. Oh, originally I had Titans D when it was going to be Richardson. Richardson ruled out. When Richardson wasn't starting and it went to Flacco, I had to move off Titans D. And that's when I started to get weird.
You had this 3.6K. You had a punt wide receiver.
I had Trey Tucker, not Lamar. I had Hurts.
Oh yeah. Oh, I looked at this team. I looked at this. I thought this team was good.
So I had this team up until 11, and then when the Richardson news came out, I had to pivot because I wasn't going to play Titans D versus Flacco. So. Honestly, it was weird that defense moved me this much. But then when I started looking at it, I looked at the Lamar range of outcomes and I felt a lot better about Lamar versus.
No, you know how Levitan does his must plays, his want plays. Lamar was definitely in the want play category for me. I thought he could have gotten 40.
Yeah. But so, yeah, for me, I mean, the locks were Bucky, Pollard. I really wanted Bijan. I thought Drake was a lock. Felt good about Ferguson. The question marks.
This is so
question
true.
marks for me
Like
was
twice a year, Nate will just lose his mind and pay $4,000 for a defense. Twice. Like it is, Nate. It's so funny. Like sometimes you will just turn over like the most expensive defense out of nowhere.
I know.
Nate just pays up at tight end and pays up at defense, and just got to get there.
And honestly, the Ferguson thing, what I will say for all of us, Nate or Sammy, I don't know what you played, but
I played Ferguson.
I do feel good to just have not been a fucking K-Dot and slappy. Like don't just do what the optimal tells you to do all the time, bro. K-Dot, think for yourself, man. Have your own brain. Embarrassing. All right, Sammy.
Let's do it.
Ready to eat your vegetables? I mean, what
I'm very hungry.
This is insane. We just need to pause for a minute.
Behold. So for the audio listeners, Dak at quarterback, 3 running backs, Pollard, Bucky Irving, and then I went with Eckler. My 3 receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, and Xavier Hutchinson. And Ferguson at tight end, Bucks D. So I have this kind of take lock. And this is really what happened. Like into the mind. The IKB took over my brain and I said, Dallas is gonna fuck today. Like they are gonna put it up. And buddy, they did not. And I was very, very, very wrong. I thought that CD was gonna break the slate in a way that other players weren't going to. I thought it was CD's slate. And so if I wanted Ferguson and I wanted CD, then obviously I'm going to play Dak with it and just like hammer the late game. And to do all that, I think I'm like a 3v3 away from you, Davis. I have Eckler, Hutchinson, and Lamb instead of Deontay, Bijan, and McConkey. Yeah. Right?
So, Sammy, obviously this is terrible.
Yes.
Let me tell you, if you wanted CD, which I think was reasonable, actually, let me compliment you and say that wanting CD, very reasonable. He was the best play on the slate, had the best ceiling projection, I think. What you do is you don't play Ferguson. You play Hayden Hurst. You play Will Dissly. You play
Jatavian Sanders.
You play Jatavian
who crushed Jake Ferguson, by the way. Jatavian
you don't play the most expensive wide receiver and pay up at quarterback and pay up at tight end.
Yeah, it could have been better. Really could have been better. Not gonna lie. I mean, the Xavier Hutchinson was really gal brain, but I was like, dude, he's running a ton of routes. He played a bunch last week. I don't know what his playing time looked like this week, Nate. Maybe you can bring that up.
No, I think he was played fine. This is why I never once thought about Hutchinson. Was I thought the like good line on Stroud forward pass attempts this week was like 22.5. This was going to be some.
Yeah, Hutchinson had 2 targets, which is 1 below his season high of 3 targets.
He's playing the Nico role, dude.
And
if Nico Collins was 3,300, wouldn't you play him?
Sammy, I just don't know what you're doing. I mean, I don't know how you could have projected this guy to have more than 3 or 4 expected points on this slate. Like, what target share did you have for him? I don't even know how you got here. Like,
okay,
is this a reaction to you fading Nico? Is this like my Eagles play of like I played Deshaun, I had to get my money back? Is this you faded Nico, so you're like, oh, I can get my money back here with a 3K Nico?
No, this was when CD drops 37.3, and Xavier goes 2 for 31 or whatever. It's gonna be lit. That was what I was thinking. Now,
Sammy, do you know what this play reminds me of? I'm trying to find the guy's name. There was one week where I played this min price Commanders wide receiver who is like kind of owned in cash. I mean, this would have been like 2017, 2018 maybe. But like, and he was like kind of popular. He was like a slottish wide receiver. And I just randomly woke up and played this dude in cash for thousands of dollars in actions, and he got 0 points. And it did. It's just at a certain point, man.
I mean, at the end of the day, and that's a great story. And maybe when you figure out the guy's name, you can tweet it out.
I'm really
later.
trying to find it.
Yeah, no, it's really great. I mean, Xavier Hutchinson and Trey Tucker, is kind of a wash. So I like the
Maurice Harris. Harris.
Jesus, I don't remember that name at all.
Here he is. He scored one career touchdown. He had 40 career receptions. So it must have been in 2018. This was him. For no reason.
Well, it looks good. It looks good. Really good. He's still only 31. Is he going to make it?
Still only 31. He can maybe come back.
Yeah, I mean, what I really wanted to do was go down at tight end and play Jatavian Sanders, which I was going to do until Ian Thomas was ruled active. And then I wasn't going to play Drake London. I was going to get to Amon-Ra, and I was just going to like.
Okay, dude, your brain is too big for this, man.
I think maybe I need medication, frankly, to reduce the swelling in my brain because Amon-Ra sucked too.
To be honest, actually the worst, like Eckler was a good tournament play. Really good. I really liked it. Eckler instead of Chuba or Bijan is absolutely the worst part about this. Way worse than Xavier Hutchinson.
Maybe.
No, it's way worse, Sammy. I'm sitting here all morning thinking I'm going to get a 3% edge on Bijan over Chuba Fish. I'm going to get a 3% edge. And you play Austin Eckler over both of them. That
Eckler had like 3 or 4 catches and 58 yards at the half, and I was like, this is going to work out great. And then he like got a goal line carry. I mean, I thought Eckler was going to catch a shitload of balls in this game, and he was going to get the goal line work. And I thought his role was actually pretty underpriced in comparison. I thought Bijan was a good play, but I wasn't like, God, Bijan's going to bury me because Bijan never buries anybody. In fact, I did get buried by Bijan, so joke's on me.
You were the first guy.
Yeah.
You were the first guy.
Finally. Yeah. So, I mean, but what can I say, fellas? I thought this was it, and I was so excited to dunk, and I really thought Dallas and Detroit was going to be an extreme barn burner.
To come back to earth, bro. I just need you to get, because it's not like you don't, like I posted the plays. I post my lineup in the chat. It's not like you don't know what people are playing. It's not like you don't. And you've had years where you've won like 13 weeks. I think it was 2021. You won like the first like 13 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Sammy, you're just trying. Wait, I like.
Are you pressing? Are you like? Is this like? You're like Anthony Rizzo when he's like 2 for 42 for a month or something.
Maybe so. Maybe I need to get benched for a week. Just sit there, watch the games a little bit.
Man.
Yeah.
All right.
Not good, Sammy. Whirling Dervish on DraftKings, guys. Send the invites.
Maybe
I do post head-to-heads. Send the invites. Send them directly.
This is a bit. Sammy's trying to get more soft action. And he's sold out a week to get the next 13 weeks of soft action.
Just Whirling Dervish on DK. Ship them.
It's really incredible. Okay. We made the people wait long enough. Nate, have you ran your stuff? You got your shit up?
Yeah, but I think you should go with your teams first.
All right. Well, I will do basically. All right. We will transition into the GPP stuff. So basically, this is what I did this week. I did Dak doubles. I did Lamar in one of his tight ends, and I did Jalen Hurts in one of his wide receivers in pretty much every team. I only played Pollard, Irving, Eckler, Bijan, and Josh Jacobs, I believe, in tournaments. Those were like the only guys that I played.
Yep.
Let's see. I can literally look it up. Pollard, Eckler, Irving. Pollard, Irving, Eckler. I played a Demont there. Bijan there. Yeah. So those are the only dudes I played. I didn't really consider anyone else. AJ Brown was my favorite play of the slate. Would have been a pretty cool guy to have played if Chris Godwin didn't go for 1 billion points. Would have been pretty cool. Jalen Hurts got 21. AJ Brown got 26. Nice. Pretty good stuff. Pollard, 7 yards away from the bonus, scores a touchdown. Bucky Irving. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really consider Sean Tucker running for 100 yards in this game in my wildest dreams because this coaching staff has not been in on using 2 running backs. Like Liam Cohen didn't do it at Kentucky. He didn't do it in Los Angeles. Todd Bowles has never done it. They were like loath to use Bucky with Rashad. I thought it would have been very bizarre for Sean Tucker to score a 39-yard receiving touchdown, but he sure did.
This was it. Bucky has been cutting into White's role. He's looked better than White. He's young. He's strong. All this stuff, and it's like they didn't want to make him more than a timeshare back, and it was crazy. Even after he started doing all this gam shit, that 30-yard run, that pitch up the sideline. I mean, he was just like balling out of control. They came in with a super pass heavy game plan. I think that Mayfield had like 13 attempts by the time Irving got his third carry. And that's fine because I don't know, the good rush defense, I suppose, for New Orleans. But then even as the game went on, it was just like Sean Tucker. And it's like, dude, do you guys see the guy who I think he ended up winning the Millie? He played Sean Tucker.
He played Sean Tucker and he played all the nuts around it. He won by like multiples of a point.
Incredible.
He won by like, he lapped the field. Yeah. And the thing is I'm not mad at them for playing Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker is a good running back. Like I drafted like a bunch of Sean Tucker on best ball teams last year. Like I got no issue with it. It's just like I'm chalking that one up to input volatility. Like sometimes the game is the game. It is what it is. Jaden Reed, I thought was super strong. Josh Downs, I thought was basically I basically thought Josh Downs in the end was probably the secret play of the slate. Like I was just like, Josh Downs with Flacco just kind of writes itself.
Yeah, the only thing you missed out on was he wasn't in the dome.
Honestly, the thing, I'm looking at all my lineups, and the thing is, I'm like, in all my shit, everyone kind of just play, other than the Cowboys stuff, other than Dak doubles, everyone just like did okay, but it was like 7 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown, not 12 receptions for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Not a lot of bonuses being handed around today.
Not a lot of bonuses being handed around. So this team, Hurts, Pollard, Irving, AJ Brown, Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Juwan Johnson, Eckler, Patriots. I'm realizing what I did that was insanely bad here was not just full punting tight end, not just going down to Hurst or Jatavian or whatever to get the Buccaneers defense. The Patriots defense at 13% is not good, is bad. Yeah, it's really bad.
Correct.
That's it. Do I have anything else?
We're gonna sim it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, obviously, I know that all of these sim well. Or at least
are they? Is it the actuals yet or no?
Let's
the actual fields.
Let's see. It should say. I don't think it is.
No, it doesn't look like it.
But we'll find out. I'll see if I can remember it. All right. Hurts, Pollard.
What contest was this in? The one.
This was the small spy. Irving, Eckler, and I did Eckler at 18% in tournaments. Like I think that is pretty strong. AJ Brown.
It wasn't when you compared it to what other good running backs came in at. Alvin Kamara came in at 7.5%. J.K. Dobbins came in at 6.5%, and Chuba came in at 11%.
Well, the thing about J.K. Dobbins is he's not the best running back on his team anymore.
I'm just saying, like playing Eckler at 3 times the ownership of that isn't he's like good at a third of those guys' ownership.
There you go. 56.99% sim ROI. I remember that's why I played this one. It had a really high top percentile finish. Pretty good. I mean, yeah. I played Mixon. Sammy, you're on mute, brother. I played Mixon a ton in BR. I feel bad about not playing him more on DK.
I like the bell curve on this one where the finishing last.
Well, it didn't know, like I said, it didn't know that Josh Downs should have been projected for like 15, not 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, to be honest, I feel kind of frustrated because I think I am playing pretty good in tournaments. Like I've had a couple like relatively low owned smashes, like Ayuk and T last week, Downs this week, AJ Brown this week, Devonta Smith had a good game, but they're not like the giga smashes. So it's just, when is it my turn is basically what I'm asking.
Just need Godwin, bro.
Sammy, are you in this contest? Are you in the small spy?
No, I'm not. You can bring up the big red zone for one of my.
I'm not gonna hunt through all my shit and find which one it is. Well, no, I can. Tell me your team.
I can do mine if you want, Davis. Now, because I was in this one that you were in.
Okay, all right, folks. Let's do the Nate Nohling reveal. Here it is. The fucking guy just. Nate, all year you tell me, Davis, don't be a fish. Just play 5 players from the same team. Lo and behold, the key to taking second place by 0.3 points in the spy. Nate, you were very, very, very close, brother.
Those last 3 drives where the Carolina Panthers could not get a point to Deontay Johnson or a point to Chuba Hubbard was some of the most tilting last 3 minutes. I literally needed 0.3. I'm like, just a Deontay catch. And then he throws it to Deontay, gets intercepted. I'm like, I just need a Chuba anything.
Just a check down. Just a check down.
So second sucks. But I mean, Davis, this is like, how do I say it? When not every team goes off, all you need is the one to, and they don't all need to hit the 99th percentile outcome. They all just need to have above average games. And so the fact that Baker went off, the fact that Godwin went off, I didn't have Evans. Bucky got there. I didn't even have to have Tucker. So I didn't even play the best running back on the team. Kate Otten didn't even have a great game, but it still works because there's just enough correlation that it all works. And then I got lucky with Najee having a good game.
I mean, I can't believe this Najee stuff.
The Najee play.
I mean, Najee is so dusty and he's so bad, and he
like we wrote his obituary the week we all played him in cash. Like we all swore it off.
There is zero ceiling with Najee, and then Jaylen Warren comes back. And of course, he hits the bonus. He scores. He gets a couple of catches, and he propels Nate to Nate. What was this worth? 15K?
Yeah,
15K. What was first? 25?
Yeah.
Tough beat you guys for 4.3 points, but man, like this.
I don't want to twist the knife, but I want the people to know that you got really unfucking justly done here because Rico Dowdle was still in with Cooper Rush instead of
it was garbage time from Rico Dowdle that put this guy over the edge on me. And that's why I was like, I was
unjust. All right. So let me do my little mea culpa. It's not a mea culpa, but I'm actually going to explain why if Nate would have told me that he was playing this lineup before lock, I wouldn't have said it's the same thing as playing Purdy, Mason, Debo, Kittle, and the 49ers defense. 2 reasons. The first being Bucky in isolation, play of the slate. So I think you can basically, like what I said on the Thursday show or on the Friday show that I do with Karain, is I said you just treat him agnostic to everything else. You just place him in your lineup to get the points, and you basically treat him as unrelated to a Saints player, as unrelated to a Buccaneers player. Just thought he was that good of a play. And I think the same thing is true with the Buccaneers defense. I thought the Buccaneers, as evidenced by the fact that they're 40% owned. And to be honest, the Buccaneers defense at 40% owned still. Remember do you remember the Bengals slate? Do you remember the Bengals slate 2 years ago when they were like 45% owned or whatever?
Yeah, but that's why this is so funny, because I would actually say the Buccaneers, as soon as I sim this lineup when everything locked, the Buccaneers were minus ROI play because they were 40%. I didn't think they were going to be 40%. I didn't think Bucky was going to be 58.5. I thought Bucky was going to be like 40.
Now, I also would have told you Kate Otten at 15%. Terrible, but I'm biased.
Well, no, it's true. A lot of that's why it's weird, because last week the T Higgins ownership, the Jamar Chase ownership simmed out bad as soon as lock hit, and you saw the percentages, but it ended up being the plays that you needed. So it's weird because this lineup did obviously result wise great. If I would have known these ownerships, I would have the players that I would have felt bad about were Bucky, Bucks D, and Kate Otten. The players I felt great about, Deontay, Chris Godwin, and Najee. Deontay being 7.9%. Deontay is simmed out as like one of the best plays. So Alvin Kamara was 7.5% in this field. He's the best play of the slate at 7.5%. Deontay is the second best play of the slate at 7.9%. And then Chuba's like the fifth best play of the slate at 11%. So those guys I felt really good about. And then Godwin coming in at 7.9. I projected Godwin for almost 20% ownership, and I thought he was going to be a good play. So yeah, the Godwin thing worked out in my favor. And then, I just ran hot a little bit, but.
You know what's funny, Nate, is this is actually something that we've been hammering into people all year long, is that the really good plays that are not the great plays,
or the best plays.
Yes. So the fancy play, the Devin A-Chain, the Amari Cooper, the Devonta Smith this week, these are the worst plays. The plays that are marginal but project to be owned, those are the worst plays. The plays that are solid but not like the number one points per dollar play are the best plays. It's been that way all year long.
Yep. So in this field, the worst plays were in my Sims post lock were Jahmyr Gibbs at 15.9%. Derrick Henry at 17%.
That is so bad.
Derrick Henry at 17%. David Montgomery at 11%.
No,
and
that's
Jameson
good. I don't
Williams
care.
at 10%. All four of those guys were bad.
Davis has come back around on David Montgomery. This is great.
I've been punished enough by David Montgomery that I'm just like, you know what? He just gets 3 touchdowns all the time.
But you can't play David Montgomery at the same ownership
when he was on the Bears.
No, you can't, Nate.
You can't play. He was more owned than Alvin Kamara. He was more owned than Chuba Hubbard. That's insane. He's an insanely bad play at that ownership.
Yeah. No, you're right. Now, Nate, this is legitimately surprising to me because normally the solver, when we plug in your insane 5 minute, normally it shows you for 190 ROI. It's sick. 69% is obviously good, but normally your fucking teams break the solver.
Finally recouped the Sklansky bucks. That's why the solver's saying it's 1 out of 1,000 times or whatever.
I actually had another team that I would love to know what the solver says about it.
What contest?
It was in the where is it? The 555 millionaire maker. It was a similar team, but because I basically did a similar build in all my tournaments, but it was slightly different. So it was Baker, Alvin Kamara, Bucky, Deontay, Godwin, Otten, Bijan.
Bijan. Does it have Otten?
Yep.
They really liked Kamara. What wide receivers?
Wide receivers was Deontay, Tucker, Godwin, and then Packers D.
Packers D.
So this one was one that I felt really good about as soon as I saw the ownership.
No, it's not going to like. Well, no, it will because they really liked Kamara. Yeah. Oh no, much less.
Okay, but Kamara came in at half of this ownership.
All right.
So that's why in real life he ends up being
a better play. I think I can edit it.
You can edit the sim ownership? That's cool.
Yes. No, I can't. Well, I think before lock you can. I don't think it'll let me. I don't think it'll let me right now. But there is a way to do it. Because I did it before lock. I have to do it in the optimizer. I have to do it I'm on the simulator tab. I have to go to the optimizer tab.
Yeah, so this has Deontay as a 22% owned player. He was 8%.
Yes. Yeah. So it would have liked you. It would have liked you more.
Godwin,
I have an explanation for why Kendra Miller wasn't active. Dennis Miller hates his ass. Or not Dennis Allen hates him.
Yeah, my best ball teams are not happy about this Kendra Miller stuff.
This wasn't a shipper, was it? I mean, it finished all right.
Yeah, it finished all right. It was like in the top 50 of the millionaire maker, which is like seems good because it's like top 1 percentile, but then when you look at the payout structure, it actually is like not even 3x.
Well, Nate, I was looking at that, sweating your team, and I was like, I know this dude in 7th just wants to die right now. He's just like, congrats, dude, you won $1,500. You lost by 2 points.
Yeah, it's these are tough. All right, Sammy, pull up a team.
All right. Big red zone. Also, congrats, Nate. Like, way to smash, man. Nate, you just went big onslaught. You picked your lane and you got a bunch of cash for it. It's awesome. So we no longer we've settled the debate. The onslaught is where it's at.
Yeah, every week I'm just loading up the team I think that's going to do best. I'm playing their quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense.
Yeah. And just pray that ownership goes in your favor.
Yeah, totally easy game. Next week I think it'll probably be the 49ers against the Chiefs. I'll just play Purdy, Guerrero, Debo, Kittle, 49ers defense.
But see, everybody likes those guys, so they're going to be higher owned. You got to find the team that no one likes.
Patriots.
Boom.
You know who it's going to be? Cowboys next week.
Oh yeah, no. If I don't even know if the Cowboys are on the slate next week, but if they are, they are going to be.
Give me Rico, give me Dak, give me Tolbert.
All right, Sammy. Big red zone. Hit me.
Terrible news, Nate. Cowboys on the bye next week. They need to, just like me, they need to go back to the drawing board, figure it out. Okay, big red zone. Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers.
Wow, you're a fan of the show. You've been listening.
I guess so. Run it back with Austin Eckler, Josh Downs because I know ball.
Yeah.
Trey Tucker because I do not know ball.
You guys fucking love Trey Tucker. My observation on this show is that you guys love Trey Tucker.
Yeah, Trey Fucker, 0 ball. David Njoku at tight end. Bucky Irving and the Buccaneers defense.
Okay. I love Lamar this week. I love Flowers this week. I just feel like you gotta play a tight end with him.
Should have played Mark Andrews. When Mark Andrews scored that touchdown, I was like, why did I play freaking Njoku?
I played a Lamar Andrews this week. I didn't look at the ownership. What do we think the ownership of Lamar? What do we think Andrews was owned?
1.8%.
Pull it up. I played this in the fair catch.
Nobody wants to play Andrews, bro. He's not even running routes.
Every week, my best team is one that I just like totally like doing like a $10 entry. 4.9%. That's honestly so much higher.
Jesus, 1 out of 20 people said, I'm going to play Mark Andrews. That's incredible.
That is unbelievable.
That's a big IKB spot. Shout out.
That is so funny, man. That is wow, unreal. Anyway, okay. Yeah. David David and Joe, what was he owned? Like 3%?
Great question. I'll bring it up in a second. Let's sim.
We'll sim it. I'm going to guess it marginally likes this team. I'm going to guess 25% sim ROI.
Yeah, I don't think it's
pretty. 36% is not bad.
Yeah, Njoku was 1.7%.
That's pretty strong.
That's really strong.
I felt like everybody would like that. Just wasn't a price point that people were at. They were going to go Ferguson, or they were going to go down to the 3K guys, and that 4,200 Njoku. And he's been out for weeks.
What did Lamar come in at?
Lamar,
he was pretty owned.
Lamar was 14, so pretty high for a quarterback. But the only two players above 20% in this lineup were Irving and the Bucs defense. It's like Downs at 6%, Zay at 17, Tucker at 16.5, Eckler at 18, Henry at 19. So, and we got a little min cash out of this bad boy. Ended up scoring like 150 something.
Yeah, this is Downs, obviously ball. Trey Tucker.
Don't know ball.
Whatever. Yeah. I think the Downs and Njoku plays are pretty strong. And Lamar and Henry is like such a funny thing where like you can actually see how they are correlated, where it's just a game where they totally are just dunking on a bad defense, where Lamar does all the damage in the first half, Henry does all the damage in the second half. Well, and actually what ended up happening, which is just that Lamar gets a bunch of yards and then Henry finishes it. I believe this was only the second time in Lamar's career he's had back-to-back 300-yard passing games. I believe I saw it today.
Wow, yeah. Good job, Lamar. I mean, I don't think Zay Flowers caught a pass after halftime. I was like, yo, I'm going to be rich. And, min cash, alas.
Dude, he had what do you have, 9 for 130 at halftime?
Yeah, and he ended with that. Yeah.
He looks like a video game character out there. He just
quick.
is like, he's so fast, dude. Yeah.
He really is.
What do you have for did you run this?
Yeah, I just ran it. I mean, the hard part is Bucky and Bucks D just came in way higher owned than anybody was expecting. And so in a lot of anybody who played them at the ownership they came in at is going to sim and post lock stuff bad. But again, I'm not sure that makes them bad plays.
So I was gonna say that, like, even if the sim thinks Bucky is bad at 55%, I don't really care personally.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it's like the sims aren't gospel. And so just because it says at 50%, like that's the breaking point, where at 40% he's a good play, 50% he's a bad play. I mean, you still gotta figure out what would you play elsewhere. So I don't know. I played Bucky and Bucks D everywhere too. Yeah, so I can't say anything. But yeah,
dumbest shit I did was play the Patriots defense. What did I realistically think was going to happen? What was the best outcome there?
You thought that team would fall apart without Nico.
No,
little did you know.
I thought it was bad weather. The Patriots play super conservative. Like, I thought the Texans, but even then it's not good to be like, oh, well then the Texans will play conservative. Then you're not facing any pass attempts. Like, come on, dude, grow the fuck up.
Little did you know that Xavier Hutchinson is the glue guy of the Texans offense.
I mean, Drake May, baby. Drake May from my best ball teams on Mahomes' bye week.
This is why you like screwed up this week, because you're like, oh, Jalen Polk and Patriots defense, because you're like by osmosis saying Drake May is going to come in and just big dong and things are going to be different in New England. That's really what happened. Can you sim one more tourney lineup for me real fast?
Of course.
Yeah, but why not? We're doing the Gillcast. Yeah, so Big Spy. We're doing a Dak double. This one obviously like didn't do squat, but I thought it was good. Dak, CD, Tolbert.
All right.
It's going to come in. It's going to come in real bad, Sammy, if it's post, because CD came in at 40% owned.
It's not.
Really?
It's not.
What was CD's ownership in your lineup in your tournament?
Great question. Let me go to it.
Tolbert is low. Tolbert is low in the projection stuff too.
Tolbert came in at like 30% in some contests, and
Yeah,
CD
he's 29 here. CD was 38. Yeah,
generationally bad.
Yeah, so like that's where these ownership projections, when everybody talks about CD as their favorite like tournament play, you just immediately have to not play them. CD is the worst play of the slate as soon as you see 40%. I mean, it's just so this is going to be a terrible post lock. Yeah. It might be fine pre-lock because
it was pretty good pre. I will say that, but I wanted to know what happened post with the inflated ownership. Pollard and Bucky, chalk running backs.
Pollard was like so close to detonating this slate.
I know. He's back, baby.
He's so back. Yeah, he's so
Kate Otten at tight end, just like solo Kate Otten. But I thought I would differentiate here with
you thought you'd differentiate with 30% on Jalen Tolbert?
Well, no. Just combinatorically, because I thought most people that played Dallas stacks would have Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, here's a way to think about it. You're not really worried about getting duped in general. Like you're like even combinatorically, you're not really that worried about it. I would think more about product own. Maybe
Sammy, this is going to end up as like one of the highest owned product of this contest.
Well. In the flex, Xavier Hutchinson.
He saved it.
So here's something that Sims have taught me that I used to not really understand.
You can't do this.
The worst thing you can do is to think, oh, I'm going to get different by this low projected 0.03%, because all that does is it like any lineup upside is capped, and then your floor is just you have a worse team than all these other teams, like that have Dak, that have whatever, because you tried to get different by that one. Like that's the worst way to play chalk.
But Eagles. That's what I did. No, you're right. I mean,
Eagles
Xavier Hutchinson was an awful play. Eagles D, yeah.
It probably is going to hate this because of Hutchinson. Nope. There you go. Highest Simar. Now, if I went in and changed the ownerships on Tolbert and Lamb, it would be different.
Yeah, probably so.
Xavier Hutchinson, my man, had a take.
Yeah, and if you let them know that the Dallas is a bunch of like cowards, the Sim would not like it either.
Sammy, the good thing about this is like if Hutchinson did have a game and you had him everywhere, like it would mean more to you than the dollars that you bring in, just because
for sure
your take was right. And so like part of what we do is play for like ourselves. Like, so I think that's important too.
Incredible. That's look, that's
right,
how you know.
Maddie will not leave me alone anymore. Do you want to say hi to the fellas?
Hi. Thank you for saying goodbye to Rashi Rice. He's in a better place now.
Yeah. The Twitter loved that. That was everybody's favorite part of the whole podcast.
That was everyone's favorite.
People tweeted about it, Matt. Was that fun? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do we think about Xavier Hutchinson? Is he good or bad?
Good.
You sure?
Yeah.
I think reconsider
after the program.
Yeah.
She might need to learn. All right, everyone. We are going to get out of here. Thank you very much for hanging out with us this evening. If you're listening on the rotogrinders Fantasy Football Podcast, we do this show live on Sunday nights on YouTube. You can watch it and hang out in the chat room if you would like. If not, continue listening on the audio. We will see you guys all back next week, hopefully.